Hey everyone, this is James, and it is March 17th, about 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and this is my 4-hour chart of Bitcoin. This is BTC USDT on the Binance exchange, so if you want to follow the numbers, that is exactly where they're coming from. Basically, what I like to start off with is first, this is not investment advice. Second, I like to go over where we've come from. Where we've come from is a negative downtrend that we've used as a springboard to try to break to a new high. However, we failed and rolled over miserably. Basically, what has occurred here, that you can see the gray line set, the negative line set right here. You can see the red one as well. And basically, they are literally identical. If you can see on your screen, I can just trace the gray one right here. And then you can see as I trace the red one, they're literally identical. So we've kind of assumed that same negative frequency in the flow of price. So we'll see exactly what happens, but basically what you can see as well too, looking just at the chart from a bigger picture, is that the volatility here has definitely smoothed out over here. So the chart almost kind of looks like a crab with one big arm, one tiny arm. The symmetry is definitely off, and something is just a little odd here. So what I think is happening, and what I've said in my previous videos, is I just feel like big money is churning their positions out, and how they do that is they create false rallies, dump into those rallies, and ultimately what happens is you have a series of lower highs because the Guppies, which are the retail traders, cannot sustain the price momentum to the upside due to the avalanche of selling. So that's pretty much what we see here, and that's what I've been talking about. And in my previous video, I talked about a run to 8,500. We got the run to 8,500. Then I said that I think we could get another run to about 8,800. The reasoning is behind that is I feel like we're kind of duplicating a pattern here. That pattern is this slight like upsloping double bottom to a false breakout, then to a dump, which ultimately leads to a consolidation, more of a bear flag, and that ultimately leads to the dump. So I kind of feel like we may have the same exact thing occurring here. We may get the false breakout Guppy rally that gets everybody sucked in, who's eager, who thinks that price is turning around and it's going to skyrocket to 25,000, 50,000, $1 trillion, or whatever crazy numbers out there right now in the media. But what it'll do is it'll just create a false rally, what I call a Guppy rally, that ultimately leads to a consolidation, a coil that looks identical to a bear flag. And basically that's exactly what it is. And I traced those patterns in my previous video for those who did not see it. Every time price coils upward, that's what I call a coil, is consolidation. It's building energy, it's recapturing energy. Price has to recapture energy when it breaks down. But anyways, every time it does that and it coils to the upside, which creates a bear flag, it does fall out every single time. And I traced those patterns in my previous video, so I don't need to do it in this one. You can watch that if you want to see. But anyways, what we've had here is we had the breakout, and I said once we broke out, there was going to be a lot of energy to the downside, and obviously you can see what occurred. Now what's happened now is we are doing another consolidation, and that consolidation is to recapture energy from the price momentum. So, and that's what happens, and it happens in any way, whether it's up or whether it's down. Price is going to get extended either direction, and it has to recapture that energy in order to make another move from there. So if we do the same exact thing that I think we're doing, which is this, a little upsloping double bottom to a false breakout, to possibly a consolidation and then a rollover, then where that'll put us is it'll put us about 8,800, 8,900, possibly, depending on how much momentum we pick up. That's the word I was looking for. Sorry about that. But anyway, so we could end up somewhere in this crazy area that I'm drawing this circle. From there, we should get a drop downward, and that drop downward should take out this low right here at roughly about 77.21, I think is where it's at. Or I'm sorry, it's a little less. It's about 76.50 even. So that's exactly what I think we'll do. We'll break down from there and then head lower. Now the question is, do we retest the 6,000 bottom? I'm hoping we do not, because I think if we do head towards the 6,000 bottom, it's not going to be a pretty picture. Yes, we may get a bounce from that 6,000 bottom, but I think ultimately what's going to happen is just ensure that the market is definitely going to go lower than the 6,000 bottom. How big the bounce is from the 6,000 area, I don't know. But right now, I'm not anticipating price reaching 8,000. sorry, 6,000. I'm anticipating price doing another false rally, another guppy rally is what I call it, where they suck in the eager buyers, and those buyers get held with the bag as big money churns themselves out of their position, and ultimately we create somewhere probably maybe in the 7,000 range. I could see that possibility occurring, especially if we move into time and space about out to here. Then the bottom could fall out and we could hit around this area, maybe the low I would just say the low 7,000s. That's where my anticipation is, because so far this coil does not look that big. If we had a big coil like this up here, that would make me think that we're building a lot of energy, and that energy could take us to the 6,000 bottom. But as of right now, it looks like the next drop is going to be fairly mediocre. As of now, so obviously things are going to change every single day as as time progresses, and that could dramatically change the outcome, especially if we just continue a pattern like this. If we continue churning out this way and the pattern gets elongated, then obviously that too is a sign that price is building a lot of energy. And so just imagine that it's just churning and churning and churning and churning and churning. And what's going to happen is all that energy is going to have to be shot in one direction, either up or down. And sometimes you get a little false breakout, but anyways, at the end of the day, what's going to happen out of a coil, out of a consolidation, is price is going to shoot either way. Now, that guess, you have a 50-50 probability, is about what the probability is on coils. So everyone can tell themselves that they know exactly which way it's going to break, blah, blah, blah. But I've never met one person that could honestly tell exactly which way a coil was going to break. There are some telling signs, right? Like we have a history now in Bitcoin to where every time the consolidation is upward, it breaks to the downside, which is considered a bear flag in the pattern community. I don't go necessarily based on that, but I have been labeling these as bear flags due to the history of price action in Bitcoin. So I do think if we do consolidate upward, there's a higher probability we're headed downward versus upward. The other thing too that makes me not so bullish on Bitcoin, which I talked in my prior video, but I'll just go over it in case there's any new viewers, is that we have a series of lower highs consistently. Well, I went a little deep in the valley there, but anyways, let me just redraw that real quick. My crayon skills are not great. So anyways, something like that. And that's what we can see. Lower highs. We can also see lower lows. These are major lows. Where the next major low is here, who knows? But that's why I think if we head back down to 6,000, it's not going to be a good sign for price. And I think we'll take out that 6,000 mark. Even if we do get a nice solid bounce from 6,000 to, let's say, maybe 10,000 and then a rollover from there. Regardless, if we reach this zone, it's going to be a negative sign for price unless somehow we bust out of 12,000. So it would have to make a 100% move from that point, and I don't know how likely that is at this time, since it just seems like there's really just a vacuum on the other side sucking everything out, and this market is just slowly withering away, especially when you look on it at a bigger time frame. You can see here, from this is back in December of last year, and you can see the volatility smoothing out. The price, the ups and downs are getting more elongated, they're getting lower, and this is a pretty far run downward. If we continue this way, yes, we may get another slow run out here, but this is about exactly what I anticipate to happen in price, and I think it'll just be a sad story for the cryptocurrency market. So I'm going to stick with a higher low over the 6,000 bottom for now. Okay, I try to stay as objective as I possibly can in these videos. I try to give everybody the price figures to focus on. Basically, the only thing that's going to get me bullish on Bitcoin is if we knock out the 9,500 wall. If we break below about 7,700 overnight tonight, then we will have more downside, and who knows where that downside could ultimately end up, especially if we roll over this early and we do not create that false high. That'll be a big red flag for me, and we could easily just waterfall right to the mid 6,000 range to low 6,000 range. So we're kind of at a crucial point to where if price cannot build up energy, then obviously the path of least resistance is obviously downward, and you can clearly see that from the price action, especially how I have it all framed in. We have the negative downslope in gray line. We have the negative downslope in red line. They're literally identical, and price has been reacting to this frequency since December of last year. So in Bitcoin's terms, it doesn't sound like a long time, but this market, you got to think like days are relative to weeks, weeks are to months, and months are to years. At least that's the way I kind of see this market, because things move so fast in this market since it's so new. And I think that we're honestly on the backside of a bubble, which you can see in the chart as well too. But so when I talk about like days and I talk about weeks, you just have to kind of bump it up to the next time frame, because that's how fast everything is moving in this market, and that way you don't get caught off term. Like when I talk about long-term prices, I'm talking about days to maybe a week, okay? Because you can see right off the 6,000 bottom, we hit February 6th, and literally by February 20th, we were almost 100% increase from the bottom. So that's a gigantic move for a market, especially a market that's supposed to simulate like a fiat market, okay? So that's why I'm hoping that we get this higher low, is to create that nice subtle increase like you would see in the stock market, like you would see in the fiat markets, and etc. So I know I've talked about that in plenty of times in my other videos, so I don't want to harp on it too much here. But anyways, that's pretty much it for today. I don't really see anything new happening in the market other than potentially creating another Guppy rally that's going to lead to a false breakout around 8,800, maybe as high as an 8,900, and then another rollover from there to go yet lower once again. The only way that gets negated if we break the 9,500 wall, but that's pretty much it. So I don't think I'm going to do a video tomorrow morning because I'm supposed to leave early on a family trip, and if I do get the time, I will. But honestly, I don't think there's really going to be much new to talk about, especially on the weekend. So Monday, I'll resume the 2 videos. But as of now, like for the weekend, it's such a thin market that price can oscillate so quickly. And to try to call it on the weekends can get very tough. But what I do ultimately think, which would line up exactly with what I'm thinking about, is by Monday, typically the price action gets reverted. So we get a nice run up, and then into Monday, into early next week, boom, we get that reversal, and we erase the gains from the weekend. So you can see the turnaround right here. It's being held down at the moment. But if it can do exactly what I think it's going to do, then that would be a perfect timing opportunity for the early week dump and then the erase of the actual movement and some going back downward. So there's nothing exciting about the market right now that I see from a long-term perspective. Everything's intraday trading, and that's about as exciting as Bitcoin gets right now at the moment. Okay, so we'll see what happens, but like I said, I'll do my next video tomorrow evening. I'll do a morning video if something major happens, but I highly doubt my analysis is really going to change that much from tonight. So I hope everybody has a great day or great night depending on where you are in the world. I thank you for your time and support. If you do like the video, please like it, share it, subscribe. Anything you can do to support me in that way would be, fantastic. If you do enjoy the content, comment down below. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know, what you want me to change. If it's me talking less, I don't know if I can do that. All right, I'm sorry, but sometimes I just get off on these tangents and I just can't get off of them. But anyways, that's it. I will talk to everybody tomorrow. And again, thank you for your time and thank you for your support.